These trying times teach us we must now genuinely diversify our economy and create more decent jobs.
Low-key celebrations as Nigerian workers mark International Workers' Day amid coronavirus pandemic. Emergency responders battle to combat raging fire under the bridge at Obalande in Lagos.
Appeal to both Muslims and Christians in particular. Lay emphasis on obeying constituted authority.
Ahead of the ease of lockdown, traditional rulers lend their voices against the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. Plus, coalition of civil society set to protect the interests of older persons on COVID-19 prevention and transmission. It's another beautiful Friday evening. Thanks for joining us on the news on ATA. I am Jumba Yusuf, and happy Workers' Day to all Nigerian workers. As we celebrate workers in Nigeria today, our commitment remains to serve you better. Dotun Ogunyami will be joining me on this news train. Kemi will in Lagos. Kemi will join the train in Ibadan, and Mohammed Ibrahim in Maiduguri. Thanks so much for joining us. The World Health Organization wants to be part of probe into the origin of coronavirus in China. As Press Emblem Campaign Group says, dozens of journalists die from COVID-19 worldwide. The report.
The total number of confirmed cases from coronavirus disease in Nigeria is 1,932. This is from the latest figure released by Nigeria Center for Disease Control. Cumulatively, Lagos State remains at the top of the charts with 976 cases, followed by Kano with 219, FCT 178, Gombe 76. Those below the ladder are Anambra, Benue and Yobe states, all with a case each. So far, only Cross River and Kogi states are the two states yet to record any case. South Africa has gradually begun to loosen its strict lockdown measures, allowing some industries to reopen after 5 weeks of restrictions that plunged its struggling economy deeper into turmoil. Some outside activities such as cycling, walking and running will be allowed, but just for 3 hours in the morning. The World Health Organization said it was hoping China would invite it to take part in its investigations into the animal origins of the novel coronavirus. As WHO understood, there are a number of investigations underway in China to better understand the source of the outbreak, but the organization is not currently involved in the studies in China. Meanwhile, the Press Emblem Campaign, a press freedom organization, says 55 million workers across 23 countries have died from the coronavirus disease. This is ahead of World Press Freedom Day on Sunday. The organization warned that many journalists are putting themselves in harm's way to report the global crisis, with many of them falling ill from COVID-19 themselves in the process. Worldwide, the number of confirmed infections at about 6:40 p.m. Nigerian time is 3,330,805, with 234,769 deaths and 1,053,250 persons have recovered.
Meanwhile, 89 vaccines are being developed by researchers around the world in the search for cure for the coronavirus. World Health Organization's officer in charge in Nigeria, Dr. Fiona Braka, stated this at the daily briefing of the Presidential Task Force in Abuja, where glowing tributes were paid to Nigerian health workers in the front line of the coronavirus pandemic. Mitera Ikpen reports.
And I welcome you to the national briefing for...
This May Day briefing by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 was full of encomiums for the sacrifices health workers and other essential personnel are making to contain the spread of coronavirus in Nigeria.
Our healthcare workers, the media, security agents, all workers from different sectors go out into the storm of COVID-19 every day, we say a big thank you.
Unsung heroes like cleaners, drivers, clerks, ad hoc staff are the Nigerians in the front line. We'll do all we can to protect your family and your loved ones.
Every single day I go to work and meet a set of people that are absolutely committed to their tasks, work till 12 p.m. almost every day, especially now as we respond to this outbreak. You're the pride of our nation. We need you to keep pushing. Don't give up.
Beyond the lockdown, restrictions, precautionary measures, and even palliatives to cushion the biting effects of the pandemic is the continuous search for a cure for the novel coronavirus. The WHO representative in the Presidential Task Force gives insight into the quest.
We have a total of 89 vaccines that are in development globally, including 7 in clinical evaluation, and several therapeutics are in clinical trials. More than 100 countries have joined the Solidarity Trial, and to date, over 1,200 patients have been randomized from the first 5 countries to evaluate the safety and efficacy of 4 drugs and drug combinations.
I've been encouraged by the feedback from Nigerians on the need to deepen research into COVID-19 so that a homegrown cure could be found. I therefore urge our scientists and researchers to come up with their findings and follow the validation protocols.
With 18 laboratories activated to test for coronavirus nationwide, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control hopes to expand the network to at least 1 laboratory per state. In Abuja, Humanitarian, NTA News.
As states continue to roll out measures to curb the spread of coronavirus, Rivers State government says it will do all within its powers and available resources to mitigate the hardship occasioned by the fight against the spread of COVID-19. The governor said this at a press conference with journalists at Government House, Port Harcourt. Ogidi Nyekwere reports.
To ensure that the people of Rivers State and other residents are not exposed to too much difficulties in the fight against the spread of coronavirus, the Rivers State government has promised to continue to provide palliatives. It has also pledged to keep the rate of infection at its barest minimum through strict enforcement of the interstate lockdown, a responsibility he has delegated to the Rivers State Boundaries Task Force against COVID-19.
Let me assure our people that delivery of palliatives and other relief measures to vulnerable households is a continuous exercise, and the state government will continue to provide funding for this purpose.
In view of the proposed gradual relaxation by the federal government, Rivers State government says it will continue to ensure all visitors are tested before entering into the state.
We also expect and request the security agencies to cooperate with the task force and fully enforce not only our order on the closure of our borders, but also the Mr. President's directive on the ban on interstate travel from next Monday, 4th May 2020.
While fielding questions from journalists, the governor assured that he would not relent from doing the needful to tackle the challenges posed by the pandemic. He called for support from all to win the battle against the dreaded virus. In Port Harcourt, Ogidi Nyekwere, NTA News.
Now to other matters. The leadership of the organized labor has joined workers across the globe to mark Workers' Day celebration in a low-key without the usual fanfare and large gathering of crowd that usually characterize the previous celebrations as a result of COVID-19 lockdown. The occasion, which took place at the Labour House in Abuja, afforded workers' representatives to remind governments at all levels to begin to engage in mitigating the impact of COVID-19 on socio-economic situation in the country. Emmanuel Anyemiro reports.
The usual solidarity song that often rings the air was hardly heard, not because of anything, but in tune with the matters of the moment, which warranted social distancing and few crowds as a result of coronavirus. Drawing from the ILO's estimates, the organized labor says out of 3.3 billion global workforce, more than 2.6 billion workers have been affected by the pandemic, with about $3.5 trillion loss of income. Commending the proposed $3.5 billion stimulus package by the Central Bank of Nigeria to assist enterprises, Labour wants transparency in the disbursement of the fund.
These trying times teach us we must now genuinely diversify our economy and create more decent jobs. The current plunge in crude oil price may be our last warning. There are many untapped opportunities in our agri-value chain.
With the slight relaxation of the lockdown from May 4, there is hope that the productive business activities will gradually pick up and we may still save jobs where elastics have not snapped.
For the fight to be won, all hands must be on deck. But I would want to plead that support should be given. And again, for us to get through, discrimination between health workers should be eliminated.
Since the focus of the 2020 Workers' Day is on the socio-economic impact of the coronavirus pandemic on the working class, the need for everyone to act responsibly, especially transporters disobeying the interstate lockdown, was emphasized.
What the government is doing is to make sure that we are not infected, so they should all comply. And anybody who fails to comply, the law should take its course.
The socio-economic impact of COVID-19 has taught the world to be more proactive and better prepared for emergency. Labour therefore wants the nation's health system to be revamped, while attention is paid to the educational sector for research and innovation in meeting emerging challenges. In Abuja, Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
Now, it is incredible that coronavirus could keep workers away from 2020 Workers' Day celebration worldwide, usually observed every 1st of May, a day to assess how governments and employers have responded to workers' needs vis-a-vis economic prosperity within the year. Large gathering like it used to be over the years is certainly not possible this 2020 May Day celebration due to coronavirus pandemic, which has shut down every human endeavor. Let's join Labour correspondent Emmanuel Anyimiro to tell us how the International Labour Organization is canvassing the adoption of relevant ILO conventions and standards for post-COVID-19 economic recovery.
We commend the National Assembly and President Muhammadu Buhari for ascending to our demand for an increased national minimum wage.
On all governments at all levels and also the private sector to ensure that contributory pensions deductions both from the staff and from employers are remitted to pension administrators as at when due.
These were the highlights of the 2019 Workers' Day, the year that witnessed the implementation of national minimum wage in August, with officers on level 4 and below, while others began in December 2019. Every category of worker were paid arrears of 8 months as well. Even though the 2020 Workers' Day is devoid of any gathering due to coronavirus pandemic, the International Labour Organization, ILO, is already looking beyond, suggesting how governments and international institutions can mitigate the effects.
We need to continue to try to stimulate the global economy, and that works best when there is better international cooperation. We need to promote policies that both protect and sustain enterprises, support income, and lead to job retention.
The 3rd edition of ILO's monitoring of COVID-19 and the World of Work says the drop in working hours in the current second quarter of 2020 is significantly worse than previously estimated. This is especially on the informal economy, with about 2 billion workers worldwide, which is more than half global workforce, puts the workers at immediate danger of having their livelihoods destroyed.
Axiomatically, we all know that the informal economy, where about 6 out of 10 of all working people in the world make their living, is synonymous with unprotected work, precarity at work. And so it is important that we see what is going on in this most vulnerable part of the global labour market.
As the pandemic and jobs crisis evolve, the need to protect the most vulnerable becomes even more urgent, says the ILO Director General Guy Ryder. For millions of workers, no income means no food, no security, and no future. So the 2020 Workers' Day provides another opportunity to press for stronger economic policies together with stimulus packages critical to making recovery effective and sustainable. Emmanuel Ayimiro, NTA News.
And in the spirit of celebrating World Workers' Day 2020, President Muhammadu Buhari has felicitated with Nigerian workers on the occasion of May Day 2020. This was contained in a message read on his behalf by the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, during a virtual meeting with labour leaders via Zoom, in consonance with the social distancing policy. Monso Damien Deti has the details.
President Muhammadu Buhari noted that the Workers' Day celebration is devoid of the usual sounds of drumming and march pasts by various trade unions and their federations due to coronavirus pandemic, which the government is fighting hard to contain. He reminded workers of government's efforts to win the war by setting up a presidential task force made up of the relevant sector ministers and highly skilled health technical experts. The government had devised some precautionary measures, such as lockdown of some states of the Federation, where the pandemic is most prevalent. Offices, businesses, and various forms of outdoor activities have shut down. Therefore, Nigerian workers, both in the public and private sectors, would have formal and informal economy will bear the stringent measures for a while, for the common good of all. This would enable Nigeria put the ravaging pandemic under control and restore normalcy within the confines of relevant guidelines issued by health experts and the government for safety against COVID-19. The president acknowledged that it is not easy, but nations globally are in a state of war against the pandemic, and in the war situation, survival is paramount. He said he understood the anxiety which has plagued the minds of workers over the possibility of job losses due to economic downturn caused by the pandemic and lockdown, especially in the private sector. In this regard, the government will ensure that no employer would retrench or lay off workers without going through due process of social dialogue, which includes consultations with workers and with the competent authority, that is the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment. Furthermore, President Buhari says he had earlier put in place a Presidential Economic Sustainability Committee with the objective of developing a credible sustainability plan for repositioning the Nigerian economy now and in the post-COVID-19 crisis period. Mr. President hailed Nigerian workers, adding that their resilience in times of adversity is not questionable. In Abuja, Momso Damien Dati, NTA News.
1st of May is a day set aside to celebrate workers across the globe. This year's celebration, however, took a different dimension as nations grapple with the coronavirus pandemic. However, messages have continued to pour in from individuals, ministries and agencies of government as Nigerian workers celebrate their day. Gufan Shaji compiled some of the messages.
President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, felicitates with Nigerian workers as they join their counterparts the world over to mark Workers' Day. In a statement by the Special Advisor to the President of the Senate on Media and Publicity, Ola Awoni, Senator Lawan congratulated Nigerian workers for sustaining their struggle for the liberation of the country from poverty and underdevelopment, even in the face of the downturn challenges at various workplaces. In the same vein, the All Progressive Congress felicitates with Nigerian workers on the 2020 commemoration of the International Workers' Day. The party's spokesman, Lanre Issa Onilo, in a statement enjoined Nigerian workers to use the lockdown to equip themselves with information and skills that will enable them productively function in the changing global work culture and tap into opportunities that the eventual and gradual easing of the lockdown will bring.
The APC acknowledged the tireless effort, resilience, patience and commitment of the Nigerian workers in the task of nation building. Similarly, the People's Democratic Party salutes Nigerian workers on the occasion of this year's Workers' Day celebration. The party described them as the life force of the nation and commended their sacrifices towards the well-being of the nation, particularly at this critical time when many of them are on the front line against the spread and impact of the COVID-19 pandemic in the country. Meanwhile, the Action Democratic Party salutes Nigerian workers on the annual celebration of workers. The party's National Publicity Secretary, Adelaja Adeoye, says Nigerian workers are the most resilient and dedicated on the continent of Africa. The People's Redemption Party also joins millions of Nigerian workers in particular and the thousands of millions of workers all over the globe in general in commemorating this year's International Workers' Day. The party's national chairman, Falalu Bello, says as Nigerian workers mark this year's May Day, they must take time to deliberate over the challenges which stare them in the face directly, urging them to strategize ways of confronting their challenges and fashion out sustainable and durable exit solutions. In Abuja, Gufan Shaji, NTA News. And joining me in the studio to talk more on the unusual Workers' Day being celebrated around the world is Comrade Ayuba Waba, the Nigeria Labour Congress President. You're welcome to Network News.
Well, thank you very much and happy International Workers' Day, Nigerians.
Yes, we're celebrating it in a very unusual way this year. And, with COVID-19, its socio-economic implication, what should be the role of the tripartite constituents in mitigating these effects on Nigerian workers?
Well, first, let me thank those that have facilitated with Nigerian workers, especially the President. I think his words is very reassuring in this very challenging period. The Senate President and the Speaker and also other very important institutions. Well, we are in a very difficult situation globally, and Nigeria cannot be an exception. And therefore, there have been a lot of labor issues that arose because of the challenge of COVID-19, because work stations have been disrupted. Importantly, also, the lockdown have affected a lot of businesses, small and medium scale, but also the fact that our frontline health workers and health facilities are also being overstretched. This is really a very challenging period, and therefore all hands must be on deck. We must take responsibility both as individuals and as a collective to ensure that we're able to mitigate the impact. And globally, this is what is happening. And therefore, the tripartite body, which is a product of law by the international standard, all labor issues are supposed to be discussed at a tripartite level, i.e. government as a sovereign, we have the employers' organization, and we have workers' organization. And therefore, this is really a period that we can look at the challenges that will be posed both in the socio-economic sphere and also in the health sphere. Because health workers are also people that must be taken care of. And I must use this opportunity of the May Day to continue to salute our frontline health workers and also appreciate the gesture of the federal government in this direction. We are aware that already an insurance package has been extended to the federal health workers, and also some of the very important allowances, inducement and hazard have been reviewed to encourage them, as been done in other climes. I think what is remaining is for our state governors also to key in to try to appreciate these health workers. Arising from this pandemic, because ILO have posited that a lot of jobs will be under threat, especially small and medium-scale enterprises and also in larger enterprises. In Nigeria already, you have had the pronouncement of some of our banks, where they are saying that possibly they wanted to lay over 50% of their workers. And one begin to wonder.
But the president cautioned against it, you know.
He cautioned, but I think the chief executive of Access Bank, he made that pronouncement. Is already something that is on the social media that they are willing. But this is the same banks that forgot that during the 2008-2009 recession, that our Commonwealth was used actually to bail out the banks. So clearly, where is the humanity This is what we are asking. And therefore, Labour will be willing to look at the issues in all dimensions with the whole hope of making sure that source of livelihood is protected, workers don't lose their job. If they have to lose their job, it has to follow normal process, and therefore it has to also follow the rules and also respect our laws. So this is actually what we have canvassed, and we have also seen some unilateral pronouncements. Okay. Some governors just went unilaterally to say that, well, worker salary have been reduced by 20%. This is really not the best times to do that. And clearly they have also forgotten the same situation we are in post-2015, and President magnanimously gave them some bailout, of which some of them diverted the bailout. So clearly speaking, I think it's time for real engagement. Okay. Labour will be willing to use our labour force to do real engagement to ensure that no Nigerian worker suffers. Whether you are unionized or not, we must respect our rules, and we must respect also international standard. This issue and this challenge is not limited to Nigeria. It's worldwide, and every country is trying to mitigate the impact. Clearly speaking, even developed worlds are crying. Then what of developing countries like Nigeria? So clearly, Labour will be willing to make sure that the laws are respected. It's time actually to look at humanity. It's not time to look at now profit. No, first, people before profit. And therefore, this is the way to go. And I think the words of Mr. President is reassuring. And we want to assure him that we are going to follow up all of this to its logical conclusion. About the economy, we have also tried to give a lot of advice. And I think part of the advice we have shared is also the issue of the fact that the gradual opening up is something I think that will help our informal sector, because you know that
it's worse hit actually.
Our economy actually is worse hit from the informal sector. People that go out in the morning to find what to eat in the evening.
So is this survival of the fittest now? Are we looking at it now?
Yes, it's survival of the fittest, but actually we need to also put them into whatever arrangement that is being done. And I think what the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 have done to actually recommend to Mr. President, which he has graciously approved, the issue of gradual opening up, I think is something that is commendable, but it's left for all of us also to take responsibility. Once the lockdown is gradually being opened, I think people also should take responsibility to ensure that all the protocols that will be laid out for people to respect, including the informal sector, we must be able to do that. Because clearly speaking, this is the way to go. And I think if all of us play our role, then it's possible that we will be able to get through this very challenging period. So Labour will be willing to do serious engagement in terms of the economic issue, in terms of core labour issues and the protection of jobs. And I'm happy also that the employer organization, you have heard from them that they are also willing to look at how we can be able to mitigate job losses and also ensure that jobs and companies are able to pick up gradually to go into production, and work can resume gradually. But we must continue to respect the protocol.
So what are we looking at post-COVID-19 now for labor, for workers in Nigeria?
Well, post-COVID-19, things may not be the same again because you can see that even in the aspect of socializing, with social distance, certainly things cannot be the same. If, for instance, people used to converge in a very small office, we must find innovative ways. And we must also scale up the issue of occupational health and safety. It's very important now for the safety of every worker. As we are going to resume by Monday gradually, I think it's important that all the protocols that have been laid out, especially the washing of hands, the use of masks, and the use of sanitizers, we urge our employers actually to make all of this available. And clearly speaking, I think it's important, if we work together, it's possible that we are going to get over this challenge very quick. And for workers, certainly, you know, we will continue to give in our best. Even in very difficult situations, we'll also ensure that productivity continue to be the order of the day. But most importantly, I think, is the fact also that the fear that have been injected into workers that you are going to lose your job, especially those in the large multinationals and also the banking sector and many other sectors. I think we must continue to give them some assurance because certainly COVID-19 will not be with us forever. It will come and go. But as Nigerians, we have responsibility after one another, because first and foremost, all of us are Nigerians, and therefore the way going forward is that workers must respect those protocols during this gradual opening.
Okay, thank you so much, Comrade Ayuba Waba, NLC President, Nigeria Labour Congress, and thank you so much for coming on Network News. Thank you so much for your insight on the subject matter. It was a shocking scenario Friday at Obalande roundabout in the heart of Lagos when an oil tanker conveying 45,000 litres of diesel erupted in flames. Lynn Nenike has details.
The incident left 2 persons injured. Eyewitnesses revealed that the fire started at about 5 p.m. when the driver of a tanker laden with diesel was trying to maneuver the truck into the Owando filling station to discharge its content into the underground dump, overturned and spilled the inflammable liquid, resulting to an inferno.
He was going to discharge the fuel, but there is no space at the front. He was trying to reverse back. It's like he climbed a stone from the fuel gutter, so that's when the truck flipped. Yes.
Even though the person that the fire touched, I know the person. It's my neighbor in number 36, 37 location there. So the fire burned him from up to down. We are already rescuing to General Hospital right now.
The Federal Fire Service responded immediately to put out the fire.
We got about 200 liters of fuel, 200 liters. And there are 600 liters now. That is what we are using.
In Lagos, Lynn Nenike, NTA News.
You're still watching the news at 9 on NTA. More reports ahead. Stay with us. Don't go away.
I wish to once again commend the frontline workers across the country who, on a daily basis, risk everything to ensure we win this fight. For those who got infected in the line of duty, rest assured that government will do all it takes to support you and your families during this exceedingly difficult period. I will also take this opportunity to assure you all that your safety, well-being, and welfare remains paramount to our government. I am using this opportunity to express our deepest condolences to the families of all Nigerians that have lost their loved ones as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is our collective loss, and we share your grief.
Mama, Uncle Kem just called me. His wife just gave birth. Hey! If we not be God, though, now who go do amo? Now who go do amo? I thank God. Boy or girl?
I was too excited to ask. Let me get my phone and call him. Mama, it's a... Mama, what's wrong?
So, I no fit see my grandpikin now as dem do obodo oyibo.
Mama, I have a surprise that will cheer you up.
Introducing Sunday Data Plan. Enjoy Sunday browsing. 200 Naira gets you a whopping 1.25 gigabytes. Glow Unlimited.
Action. Make your home the place to be with GoTV's super cool kids channels.
That sounds fun.
From funky friends that'll keep even the little ones busy.
All right, everybody, let's do this.
To learn as you watch educational shows for curious young minds.
You can do some amazing things.
There's plenty for everyone. Tune in to our kids shows and get everything you need to keep the kids entertained and learning the fun way. GoTV. Live it, love it.
In this time of despair, our country, Nigeria, needs us now more than ever. We stand a chance to save our great country, Nigeria. A chance to rise up from this pandemic stronger and better. What will be the gain if we do not learn from other countries and observe the lockdown to stop the further spread of the virus? If we loosen our guards and allow this virus doom our very existence, then what have we gained? This This is the call to every Nigerian to unite as one and stop the spread of this deadly virus. Stay at home and stay safe. Remember, the virus doesn't move unless we move. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
This is to say a big thank you to all the healthcare workers who put their lives on the line, working in all the 36 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, especially Lagos, Kano, Ogun, and Abuja, to ensure that we beat COVID-19 in the least possible time. Thank you so much. You are our superheroes. This message is from the Governor's Wife's Forum, the wife of the Vice President and the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The number of the COVID-19 cases in Nigeria is increasing daily, with many more tests ongoing. The battle of testing, isolating, treating, and attending to the affected persons rests heavily on the shoulders of our health workers, constantly putting their lives on the line and at risk to contain this virus, save and protect the lives of millions of Nigerians. To these health workers, we at the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, on behalf of millions of Nigerians, say a big thank you for all that you have done and are doing. To the security agencies enforcing the lockdown and every other frontliner, we say thank you for putting your lives on the line to save ours. There is no amount of words that can quantify our gratitude. Thank you. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
You're welcome back. The federal government has issued a comprehensive guideline on the gradual ease of the total lockdown, which will commence on Monday, 4th May 2020. This is following the presidential broadcast of Monday, 27th April 2020, in which President Muhammadu Buhari announced the gradual ease of the lifting of the lockdown in Lagos, Ogun, and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Doing Dia reports.
The statement signed by Secretary to Government of the Federation and Chairman Presidential Committee on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa, provides general information on new COVID-19 measures and protocols for containment of the disease. The federal government acknowledged the improvements in the multi-sectoral response to the coronavirus pandemic and wants all the existing guidelines on proper hygiene to be maintained. The ease of the lockdown is also characterized by enforceable actions such as compulsory use of non-medical face mask covering for all persons in public spaces, mandatory temperature checks to be conducted in public spaces. Religious gatherings are still restricted and mandatory supervised isolation of persons arriving from outside the country for at least 14 days. The imposition of overnight nationwide curfew from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. starting from May 4th to 17, 2020. Movement of persons between local government areas is strongly discouraged except for critical healthcare, work and shopping for necessary food items. For the agricultural sector, persons above the age of 65 years and those with underlying chronic illness such as diabetes and high blood pressure are advised to remain at home. Trucks bearing agricultural and animal products are allowed easy passage. Government offices and other corporate entities are to open from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. daily with limited staff working to between 30 to 50%. So as to maintain social distancing. Local authorities are allowed to determine date and time for the opening of neighborhood markets, abattoirs and warehouses not more than 3 times a week. Recreational centers such as beer parlors, clubs, gardens and others are to remain closed with suspension of the usage of recreational parks, communal sports, concerts, social parties, movie theaters, amongst others, except for food restaurants, which are allowed to open from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. only for buy and takeaway services. All schools are to remain closed to further evaluation, as schools are encouraged to continue with e-learning and visual teaching. State governments and security agencies are therefore enjoined to ensure effective, strict enforcement of the guidelines, as the level of compliance will be reviewed in 2 weeks before additional guidelines for phase 2 will be issued. In Abuja, doing Dia NT News.
First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, has called on Nigerian women to use this period of lockdown as an opportunity to continue to render all the necessary support and care to their husbands and children, as well as to intensify prayers for God to bring to an end the coronavirus pandemic. The First Lady stated this in a message during the presentation of palliatives and other food items to women groups at the grassroots. State House correspondent Aliu Kabir reports.
Given consideration to women, especially those at the grassroots who are the most vulnerable groups during this period of lockdown, the First Lady said the intervention is necessary, as such food items such as bags of rice, grains, sugar, milk and other essential commodities were donated to them. While presenting the items to the representatives of women associations at the grassroots, the First Lady, in a message, enjoined them to use the items judiciously in order to cushion the effect of this lockdown.
Whatever she's able to mobilize as part of her fight towards against the COVID-19 is actually meant to touch those people that they will best utilize it.
We have been trying our best to go out, to campaign, to tell people to stay at home, to pray, and the little we have we also contribute. And we promise you, we the leaders are not going to touch it. We are going to give to those that we are supposed to get it.
This is what she does to the less privileged and to others in the society, but for also remembering us, we are very grateful because we have a lot of people behind us. So we'll go and share these gifts to them. We want to say God bless her and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
More groups are expected to benefit from similar gesture. In Abuja, Aliu Kabir, NTA.
Meanwhile, women as caregivers are now benefiting from the consignment of palliatives received by the Minister of Women Affairs from the wife of the President, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari. Different women groups from across Abuja received items worth millions of naira for onward distribution to the needy. Momso Damien Dati reports.
These are leaders of women groups trooping to this collection center. The women have found their voices again to sing the International Women's Song after being muted for many weeks by COVID-19. This time, however, they are not demanding for equal rights, but to show gratitude and appreciation for bags of variety of food items, hand sanitizers, face masks, hand gloves, and other medical items donated by Mrs. Aisha Buhari and are here being distributed by the women minister.
The wife of the president is simply showing us her concern as a mother. You as leaders, most of you can afford to feed yourselves. Most of you can even extend and help your neighbors. I beg you in the name of God, ensure that all that has been given to you as leaders reaches those in need in your organization.
For the women representatives, there is no better time than now.
The unexpected have been sending messages of desperation, fear.
On behalf of the masses, on behalf of the grassroots, we are saying thank you very much.
That inshallah, all what she has given to us, to the less privileged, we get to them.
Always been praying so that this COVID will be out of our country, Nigeria.
Each group knows their women and they know those that will be in their need of this. And it shows the trust building between Nigerian women and government.
Having taken delivery here, louder songs are expected when they hand over the items to the most vulnerable in their communities and groups. In Abuja, Momso Damian Ati, NTA News.
The Bongom Jos and Chairman Plateau State Council of Chiefs and Emirs Da Jacob Gyang Buba has advocated a return to Almighty God in sincere repentance as a way out of the present COVID-19 situation. The royal father, who was speaking to NTA News, also called on the people of Plateau State to support government measures put in place to curb the spread of the virus. Sani Ibn Salihu reports.
Against the backdrop of the COVID-19 pandemic and the confirmed index case in Plateau State, the Bongom Jos, who said he had never witnessed such a pandemic in his lifetime, noted that adherence to the lockdown restriction is in the best interest of the people and their well-being.
I will appeal that we look at this situation in the context of God has allowed this to happen. I will appeal to both Muslims and Christians in particular to appeal to look at this as a call, lay emphasis on obeying constituted authority.
The traditional ruler also advocated imbibing strict personal hygiene and environmental sanitation as the most enduring means of staying safe. In Jos, Fani Bin Saleh, NTA News.
Time now to join Dotun in Lagos for more reports. Hello, Dotun.
Thank you, Jumai. The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development has taken delivery of tons of food items from the Nigeria Customs Service for onward transmission to low-income earners who may be going through a hard time due to the COVID-19 lockdown. Abalore Ogbara reports that the consignment is part of goods seized by the Nigerian Customs Service.
The federal government has expressed its readiness to expand the social register for distribution of food and other important items during the lockdown order. Against this backdrop, the Comptroller, Nigerian Customs Service, Western Marine Command, Peter Olugboyega, presented 720 bags of rice, 297 bales of used clothing, and 11 sacks of used shoes to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development.
I do hereby hand over these items to the representative of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development.
The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadiya Farouk, who was represented, said the items will be distributed across some states of the Federation in furtherance of government's determination to make Nigerians comfortable at a desperate time like this.
All states are taking 3 trucks of rice, that is 1,800 bags of 50 kg rice, to ensure that we bring succor to them at this point in time of COVID-19 worldwide saga.
This is the third batch of items from the Customs Service to the Ministry. In Lagos, Abolore Ogbara, NTA News.
And that's it from here. Network News continues in Abuja after the break.
The coronavirus pandemic has changed the way we see the world,
the way we work and interact with each other.
COVID-19 affects all of us.
To defeat this human challenge and protect our great country, Nigeria, we must listen to our health professionals.
Stay home. Wash your hands or sanitize. If you have symptoms,
contact the health authorities immediately.
Join the private sector coalition against COVID-19
by supporting any way you can.
Nothing is too small to make a difference. We can do it because we're strong and resilient.
Let's fight to defend our motherland, Nigeria, by working together.
And stay alive together.
We can stay alive.
Stay alive.
Stay alive together.
Staying at home is the most responsible thing to do. Please, learn a new skill. Be a better version of yourself. That's what I spend my time doing. Prevention, they say, is better than cure. I beg, make we sit down for house. I know some of us want to get back to socializing, but if we don't sit down for house, no good feel happen. Please, stay safe and stay responsible.
Welcome, dear. Have you washed your hands?
Inside my house again. This thing not the key black man.
I don't know if it's misinformation or poor hygiene that will kill you first. Coronavirus is real, and good hygiene practice will save your life. Anyway, no hand washing, no eating.
I will not take care of it. How's one of the parents?
Coronavirus is real and it's on the rise. But you can help yourself and help others to be safe. Remember, we can stop the spread. It's in your hands.
This message is from the Akinfade Foundation in partnership with the National Orientation Agency with support from MacArthur Foundation.
The main way coronavirus spread is when infected people sneeze and cough. Small droplets of fluid expelled by cough or sneezes are laced with viruses looking for new respiratory tracts to infect. When a sick person sneezes around someone who is healthy, the virus can land in the nose, mouth, or even the eyes, causing an infection. Symptoms can include fever, cough, shortness of breath. Symptoms may appear within 2 to 14 days. Seek medical advice if you develop symptoms and have been in close contact with a person known to have COVID-19, or if you live or have recently been in an area with ongoing spread of COVID-19. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
In the glorious month of Ramadan, Allah spreads His endless mercy and forgiveness. We pray for Allah's mercy upon the soul of His servant, a true Nigerian, a mentor, and a selfless statesman. Late Malam Abbakari, Chief of Staff to President Muhammad Buhari, whose loyalty and love for Nigeria was never in doubt. We will forever remember you in our prayers for the good and unforgettable work done for the building of humanity and progress of Nigeria. O Allah, in this holy month of Ramadan, have mercy upon your servant, Malam Abbakari, our son, father, friend, and leader. Make honorable his entry into Al-Jannah Firdaus, for you are the most beneficent and most merciful. Ameen. Sadiq Mvaza, for friends and associates.
It's good to know you're still there. The Niger Delta Development Commission has dispelled the rumors alleging that the commission spent about 200 billion in 3 months. Acting Managing Director Professor Kemebra Dikumo Pande, represented by the Director of Corporate Affairs, Mr. Charles Odili, at a press briefing in Port Harcourt, said the Interim Management Committee of the Commission has only received 33 billion, out of which 22 billion has been expended. Joy Uzo reports.
A handful of press reports alleging fraudulent practices by management of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, has recently flooded the media space. The commission is concerned that the first rumors are only but intended to malign the integrity of the Interim Management Committee under the leadership of Professor Kemebra Dikumo Pande.
There has been an issue that the IMC spent 200 billion naira in 3 months. Nothing could be further from the truth. In actual fact, in 3 months, the IMC has only received 33 billion naira, out of which they have spent 22 billion. Some of these monies went into paying vendors like hotels and others, and also meeting obligations to contractors ranging from 50 million and below. So it's out of place for people to vilify the commission. At all times, you find things like this happen, and it's very unfair to the Niger Delta region. At a time like this, there's need for us to intervene in COVID-19 so as to help our people and assuage their sufferings.
The commission also debunked claims that some directors of the commission were sent on compulsory leave because of their stand against sharp practices in the commission. For those on overseas scholarship whose fees are yet to be paid, the NDDC Corporate Affairs Director, Mr. Charles Odili, stressed that that the Commission has reached out to those concerned and would act appropriately. This is as he enjoined the public to support the Interim Management Committee towards achieving set objective, part of which is a forensic audit.
There are people who have unjustly benefited from this system who will be brought to book, and there are the people fighting back. So a situation like this, they don't have any other arsenal. Their resort is to the media.
He appealed to the presidency to ignore such media reports. In Port Harcourt, Joy Uzo, NTA News.
And Kemi in Ibadan has the next set of reports. Hello, Kemi.
Hello, Jumai, and welcome to Ibadan. Following up on the nationwide interstate ban on non-essential movement to curb the spread of COVID-19, Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde visited some border points in the state to assess level of compliance. Larry Bileyi reports.
Governor Seyi Makinde inspected border towns between Oyo and Ogun State, where he noted that the compliance level, while commendable in some areas, some are yet to be accomplished in some parts.
Yes, apart from the major express road, coming from Lagos to Ibadan, or from Ibadan going to Ibadan to Ife, where you have a lot of traffic and a lot of challenges. The other minor border post, I think things are a little bit distant in those areas.
The governor acknowledged the efforts of the security agents whom, against all odds of vagaries of weather, did not retreat from their duty post.
So we also have to do certain things to make them comfortable so they can do their work.
On punitive measures to be taken on defaulters, Governor Seyi Makinde believes that holistic approach, which includes enlightenment and strict monitoring of motor parks, will drastically reduce interstate movement. In Ibadan, Larry Bileyi, NTA News.
And that's it from here. Jumai, it's back to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me remind us all that this pandemic is spreading like wildfire. We must all arise to fight this potent and invisible common enemy by adhering to the guidelines and protocols for COVID-19, which includes personal hygiene, social distancing. We must wear masks in public places, obeying the stay-at-home order, and reporting unusual illness to the authorities for investigation.
President Muhammadu Buhari expresses heartfelt condolence to the family, academia and friends of renowned economist Professor Owodunni Tariba, who passed away recently at the age of 82. The president lauds the can-do spirit of the departed, who studied privately for his advanced level education and completed his bachelor's in economics at the University of Ibadan in 1962. He then received a scholarship to attend the University of Manchester, United Kingdom, obtaining master's in economics in 1963 and PhD in same discipline in 1965. President Buhari says the deceased hoisted Nigeria's flag proudly wherever he went and stamped his authority in areas like economic principles, which he taught for many decades, and praised for the repose of his soul. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has commiserated with the family of the renowned Islamic scholar Malama Halima Shitu Abdul Salam, wife of a famous scholar and preacher Sheikh Abdul Wahab Abdullah Muhammad. Malama Halima, who died in Kano, contributed immensely to creating religious awareness within and outside the country. In a condolence message to Sheikh Abdul Wahab, President Buhari said he was grieved by her demise. The president said Malama Halima spent a major part of her life teaching and preaching Islam. Her death, the president noted, is a loss not only to her family but to the nation. She will be remembered for her versatile radio, TV and lately digital media messaging, creating Islamic awareness which were well received by her followers. He prayed to Allah to support the family, the government and people of Kano State as they mourn Malama Halima. And before we go, we sincerely apologize for not hooking with our Maiduguri Network Center due to time. Thanks so much for watching. Good night.